those benefits have, we're starting to catch up on November 14th. And December should be normal in that people will get their benefits on their day in those first 9 days of the month. And I'm happy to say that even though the government may yet shut down again come January 30th, SNAP benefits are funded through the fiscal year, through, well, beyond that, through September. All right. So there is still an emergency declaration from the governor for hunger, and $5 million is going to the Oregon Food Bank. This is all being set up by our incident management team. These are the people who respond to emergencies like wildfires and other natural disasters. They're the ones who are managing this emergency. There's an additional $1 million that's going to be distributed across the 9 federally recognized tribes in Oregon. And there's a statewide food donation campaign that's still going. Also still going, unfortunately, is the skimming of EBT cards. This has been a real problem across the nation and an increasing problem in Oregon. It's just something that people need to be aware of and work against. There is, I'm going to put in the chat some resources for information. There's brochures and other things you can share in multiple languages that talk about this. It's, encourage people to freeze their cards when they're not using them. Definitely put it on a setting if they're never going out of state to not use them out of state. That's one of the common ways people use it. And Jenka, to your question, I can't say, I know this was a shock for people, and the food banks were under a lot of strain. But that sort of unfortunately leads me to my next point, that there's still House Resolution 1, the big blank bill that that is changing SNAP. That is still moving forward. We're going to see fewer people eligible for the program. There's a lot of different refugee groups that are no longer going to be eligible. There's more people who are going to have work requirements. So, and so behind the scenes too, in terms of the budget, there's a huge cost shift to the state where, you can think of it as 2 different tracks. The big track, of course, is the benefits that go to people in the state. Right now, it's more than $140 million a month that comes from the federal government and goes to EBT cards. And starting the next fiscal year, the state will have to start paying some of that, probably according to our error rate. And so, not to get too weedy, but whenever money goes out, we have certain numbers of people who are audited and certain number of cases, I should say. And if there's any sort of mistake, then that counts against our error rate. And right now, we're at like 14%. We have to be below 6% not to pay anything. At 14%, we're going to be paying 15% of that $140 million that goes out. And the state doesn't have that kind of money. So we're trying to reduce that error rate as much as we can. So that's one part of it. The other part that is beyond our control now is that we've always paid as a state half of the administrative costs to run the program. That's all the employees, that's a lot of the eligibility workers, all that. We paid half of that. Now we have, starting next fiscal year, we're going to have to pay 3/4 of that. And that's, again, also more than $100 million a year. So again, the legislature and the governor are going to have to figure out where that money's coming from. But one thing that happens too under this new HR1 is, in addition to fewer people getting benefits, all states are having to do this, Mandy. That's a good question. You see sometimes, well, why doesn't Oregon just do something, blah, blah, blah. No, every state has to do this. And every state is going to have greater workloads for their eligibility workers. So even though maybe fewer people are getting benefits and fewer dollars might be going out, there's more hoops for people to jump through. And so there's more requirements on benefit recipients and on eligibility workers. So so have to see where that lands. Right now, we're only at, before all these changes, we're at 43% of our workload model. In other words, we have 43% of the eligibility workers that our staffing model says we should have for this workload. So something to be aware of. That 14% error rate is puts us like 8th worst in the country. So we're on the high end. I think Alaska has the worst, and they have like a 26% error rate. There's a handful of states that are below 6%, not very many. And I think what it does is it puts pressure on the state to just, if it's a complex case or there's difficulties, just tell them, no, you're not eligible, is what it does. And we don't want to do that. And then that last bottom right corner, obviously, if there's less money coming into the state for food benefits, it's going to affect the economy overall and increase demand on food banks. Now, to dig in to these work requirements, you probably hear the term ABOD. That's able-bodied adults without dependents, classic government acronym there, which is a pain in the neck. And so it's the concept, because people are going to have to show that they have 80 hours of work or 80 hours of volunteer time or 80 hours of bartering or some combination therein. And I don't have the expertise or the time to really get into the details of how to show that, but that is something that's coming, and we'll have more materials for that in the future. But just know that where before in affected counties, it was affected only people 18 to 54 without dependents in the household or a disability or going to school or whatever. But now that age restriction has gone up to 64. And the dependents in the household has changed. It used to be any dependent in your household, but now it's only for children under 14. Yes, and it used to be if you were houseless, you had an exemption from the work requirement, or if you were a veteran, or if you were a child or a young person aging out of the foster care, you were exempt from the work requirement. No longer. Now, though, what was added in was people who can demonstrate an affiliation with a tribe. They have an exemption for the work requirement. So, yeah, and there's some more details on this slide, but I'm already running low on time. So, Jason, your question about the volunteer-based programs, as long as, an eligibility worker may end up calling to verify, but yeah, it is possible if someone is doing volunteer work, you don't want to just be handing those out like candy or something, but it is possible for someone to do volunteer work for an organization to get through that work requirement. And keep in mind too, I didn't have it on the slide, that people can get benefits 3 months every 3-year period. And this 3-year period started at the beginning of this year. But if they don't do anything and they're required to get fulfill the work requirements, they will get benefits for 3 months, and then they're done unless they can demonstrate work sometime in the next couple of years. So, and here's some resources, but I'll put this information in the chat as well. And also, I don't have actually these slides ready to go, but or these links ready to go, but Jade will be able to share this as well. But we're on social media and we have hopefully helpful information for you to use with your clients. So that's the presentation. Feel free to drop me a line if you have questions, but that's it.
Yeah, thank you so much, James. We really appreciate you taking time and sharing all that
Yeah.
information with us. And yeah, if you're comfortable sharing the slide deck with me, we can post that to our website afterwards as well.
Okay.
Yeah, just so we can get those links out as well. But yeah, thank you so much. All right. And
Yep.
presenting next, we have Jason with Rockwood Common. Jason, are you ready?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm ready.
Perfect. Yeah, it's all yours.
Get my slideshow presenting. All right, you see those slides okay? Great. All right, so I'm Jason Nauman. I'm with Rockwood Common. We are a resource sharing collective serving East Multnomah County. Really, we serve everybody, but our focus areas in Rockwood, West Gresham, East Portland, Centennial neighborhood. Um, we focus on building neighborhood level resilience through sharing access and building community connections. So who we are, we got about 253 members spread around the area. That's through our library statistics, people who are registered. We have other folks that'll come into about 231 people have come to our workshops as well. Not all of them are members of the library. We have 7 and 12 volunteers, 8 board members, and just one part-time staff member at this time who does volunteer and outreach coordination for us. And really, when we think about resilience, we have kind of a three key components. Firstly, sustainability. The fewer things that we have that are coming into the community from outside of the community, the less reliant we are on those systems. So if we're extracting fewer resources and shipping those things around and then bringing them into the community, using them, and then when they break down, we also have to recycle them and dispose of them at the end of their life cycle. So the more we can keep things within our community, the more sustainable we are. Secondly, accessibility. That's not just making sure that things exist for people to use, but that they're not buried in their garage under piles of stuff that they maybe don't need most of the time. So by having some warehouses and locations distributed throughout the community where things can be accessed. It's a little bit easier, and also establishing what's called blue sky locations. So when you talk about disaster preparedness, there's blue sky and there's dark sky situations. So when people are consistently interacting with and being aware of those blue sky locations, it makes it easier when you to avoid switching into panic mode. You can go to those places when the sky turns dark in the event of an emergency situation, whether it's a natural disaster or other kind of disruptions. And then finally, connections. So all of us are only as stable as each of us. So the more we're connected to our community and knowing who we can rely on for assistance and knowing we can help when we have assistance to give, the better off we are. And so we do that through a couple of ways by providing access to resources. Right now, we have a couple programs that we'll go into, and we have more that are in development as well. Having neighborhood activities, different workshops and skill shares so that community can build those connections and share those skills. So we're all more prepared. And we know who has those skills. If we are not able to do them ourselves, we can contact them to maybe help us out in those situations. And then trying to make spaces more shared. So not just by helping to activate park spaces and common areas, and then also livening them up for adding things like message boards and share boxes so that they become more community hubs. So in terms of our projects, our flagship project is the Rockwood Tool Library. We operate out of a 14-foot box truck. We do manage to fit almost 1,200 tools in there. Those are free to borrow for the community. Membership is free. Borrowing is free. As long as you bring them back in a week or you stay in touch, you'll never pay anything to use any of those tools. We don't have a boundary restriction for lending. And part of that is because we have a little bit more mobility, and also we just our intention again with resilience is that if you, for example, need a tile saw and you're willing to drive an hour to borrow it from us, as long as you can get it back in a week, we'd rather you borrowed it than bought it and had a tile saw sitting in your garage for the next 30 years for no reason. So we are open Saturday mornings, 10 to 1 right now. We park in front of Snowcap in the Rockwood Center, right next to the Multnomah County Library, 178th and Stark. Every Saturday, we also do what's called a Lend and Learn. So our truck has solar panels on the roof and a power bank. That allows us to, while the truck runs on diesel in terms of driving, we're able to run lights in the truck and operate tools with that solar power. We're also able to, obviously move that solar station wherever we need to. So we use that sometimes at community events to help with different things, tool demonstrations or barber stations and stuff like that. But we are able to mobilize that in the event of an emergency as well. All of those things we got started in about a year. So we opened our library last September. We did an annual tool drive with the city of Gresham out here, received some additional funding to do some translation work and to really strengthen our multilingual capacity with more volunteers. We reached 200 members in July and we have about 1,000 items in our inventory. For anyone who isn't aware, our library is part of the Portland Library of Things Network, which is an unofficial network. Every one of these color blocks here represents one of Portland's 6 tool libraries. They all have pretty strict boundary restrictions, and that is to keep those resources really localized right there in that community, and again, to build those resilience hubs. But anywhere you live in Portland, you have access to a tool library, and they are all free. Donations, of course, are accepted. In terms of material donations, check with your local library. Space can be limited in some of those spots. So we also do a number of events. We work with Bike Works and bring some bike repair skills and bike riding to the Rockwood Village apartments out here. We do tool sharpening in a couple of different places. We've worked with the Restore out here in Gresham, and we support the Gresham Repair Cafes, building up those skills. We do a number of different mending and craft skills classes out here. Again, with those skill shares, we try to make them community led. We do let businesses come in, but we encourage community members who have a skill that they want to share to lead a workshop. When we're available, we offer a paid stipend for that time. In addition to leading the workshop, we add an additional $100 if they're willing to help us build kind of a class recipe. So we can then share that out with other community partners, nonprofits, and members of the National Tool Library Alliance, so we can really get those skills widely distributed across the community at large. We host a mending circle at the library branch here in Rockwood that we just started last month. We've done a number of different youth workshops with groups like Free Arts Northwest, again, getting kids and youth access to tools so that they can start to feel a little bit of empowerment and be able to influence the built environment. So our Scavenger Club is a program where we work with Habitat for Humanity, and we take some of their broken items that they aren't going to use. They have a recycling program, but they let us borrow them for the day and do that recycling work. So we give the youth screwdrivers and mostly screwdrivers. We try to keep the hammers away until absolutely necessary. Otherwise, everybody just wants to smash everything. Um, but take those things apart. Really, it's, opening that doorway to understanding that you can repair things and maintain things. Um, we don't get into a lot of repair usually in those specific workshops, but once you see a toaster without a shell on it, you can really understand a lot more about how things work. So that's been a pretty successful program. Right now, we just pop up, but we're working with Multnomah County on trying to get a larger um, space that would allow us to expand our lending inventory beyond just tools to include more things like kitchen items, outdoor gear, more emergency preparedness things, and then more consistent workshops. Um, and then our lending network. So we've been supporting the Grisham Youth Advisory Council, City Wood Village with little free libraries, adding on little extensions like this little share box on the side here, and then a seed library as well. This is one we built with the Reynolds Adult Transition Program and their Sweet Gum and Cedar program. We are going to be officially launching a partnership with Par Lumber out here to build more of these little free pantries and get them distributed throughout the community so that we have really a neighborhood level food resilience. Not every member of the community is able to go and stand in a food pantry line right now. So the more points of access we have for food security within the community, the safer everyone is. So this is a program we're going to be producing some of these little free food pantries, getting them out to community members who want to host them, setting them up with a network so that they can keep those replenished, and then also adding things like a most message board to those. So each one of those hubs can really be kind of a blue sky location within the community, whether it's on, in front of a house, in front of a community center, on a street corner, things like that. Um, we're also going to be we just got a reuse impact fund grant from Metro. So we're going to be working on a youth internship program to develop more youth engagement and interest in repair, doing some economic development here in the community. Again, really keeping the resources we have active as long as possible. Depends on those repair skills and building a local economy around that so that we're less dependent on outside influence. Local being Portland-wide, not just Rockwood, and beyond. And then we have a lending locker program that we're piloting it with the Rosewood Initiative. So these are self-service lending kiosks that we're able to build out and integrate with our lending software so that the community can really decide what they want to have available to them at their community hub. This one is going to have, I believe, 14 items from, kitchen items, juicers, canning pots, to some basic tools, gardening tools, drywall repair, and then also some games, picnic blankets, different things that were requested by the community. So in addition to those libraries of things, I mentioned that space we're working on with the county. There's some access to maker spaces that we're trying to build out. The city of Gresham has some spaces, and there's other community kitchens and commissary kitchens here in Rockwood that we're trying to help get more activated and build awareness around those locations. And then in terms of how folks can help get involved with the work, the biggest thing is obviously donation of funds, but also materials. If you have things that you think could be better utilized by more members of the community, we're able to add some of those things to our tool library, or things like tables, pop-up tents, different things like that. Building out similar to, there's a program called the Lloyd Lending Library in the Eco Lloyd District that lends those things out. We'd like to have an additional site for those kind of services out here further into East County. So if you're interested in being involved with developing those shared resources so that funding can really stay with the programs and with the staff who are putting the time in on those things rather than being spent on those materials. It's a way we can really, again, build closer connections with each other and make sure that the work is getting done as much as possible. And then we also have a number of needs assessments. So we really want to be responsive to the needs of the community. That includes organizations, not just individuals. So on our website, we have some different surveys about, what people want to borrow so we can really build out that sharing network so that we're meeting, social, emotional needs, environmental needs, different, built environment needs and things like that as well. So, and sorry, I will answer some questions that are in the chat. I was not able to kind of view that while I was presenting. So,
You're all good. Yeah, and if you want to, yeah, you have a couple comments and questions in the chat if you want to answer those in the chat. But thank you so much for presenting. Y'all are doing such awesome and cool work over there. So, yeah, thank you so much. We'll keep it rolling on this end. Yeah, so next up we have Amy with Washington County Disaster Services Network here to present. Amy, are you ready?
Hi, everybody. Amy Sturgeon from Washington County Public Health. I actually have Courtney Yan with me today, so she was able to join us after all, which is awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and yield to her.
Are you seeing the right screen?
I don't think so.
If you go to the display setting drop down in the left corner, you should be able to swap like the presenter view. There you go.
Great. So I'm Courtney Yan. I'm with Washington County Emergency Management. And Amy and I will be presenting on the Disaster Services Network, which is Washington County's nascent COAD or community organizations active in disaster effort, if you're familiar with that. These are pretty well-established models for disaster response and recovery. If you've been following other efforts in Oregon, for example, after the Rowena fires, or the Labor Day fires, for example, there have been COADs that have been stood up in other jurisdictions. We are really interested in setting something up in Washington County before something happens so that we have ideally a well-established network, before we need it. So we're calling it the Disaster Services Network. Essentially, these COADs are a forum where local community organizations can come together, ideally to network and develop some procedures and policies before, during, and after a disaster to plan, collaborate, and coordinate. We're open to all sectors, all industries, all hazards. So nonprofits, for-profits, local jurisdictions, and it's open to anybody with a role in disaster preparedness, response, or recovery. And I want to pause here to acknowledge that a lot of the people on this call, a lot of the organizations in this network support clients that are going through their own disasters or going through what we call slow disasters or in a constant state of emergency. And also that a lot of our partners here are well networked, well organized, and very well resourced and may be connected with COADs in other jurisdictions or even at the state level. So we're really focused on Washington County as a service area. And if you're not familiar, the community organizations active in disaster model is really we're really trying to provide a space that is going to be community directed and community led decision making, where the ultimate vision is that this well-organized network is set up to operate in coordination, but independent of us as local government, um, with really formal and clear plans and procedures so that you all have a like very clear and open channel to our emergency operations, but those decisions that you make as the disaster services network are community led and community directed. Some of those decisions would be things that inform coordination of collective resources. You all know best what your resources are and best how to distribute those resources across our community. And also where our unmet needs are and how best to distribute those resources equitably amongst our community members. So that's the Disaster Services Network in a nutshell. We are in its infancy, so we're really looking for organizations and community leaders that are interested in serving Washington County community members, and are interested in helping us develop and nurture this effort that really is in its infancy. Right now, we're having quarterly meetings. Our next meeting is in January on the third Friday. We're hosting them virtually. The link is down on the bottom here, where you can find a little bit more information, but most importantly, there is a link to sign up to subscribe for like newsletter and announcements, which would include like the Zoom link when the meeting gets closer. So that is the Disaster Services Network writ large. And now I'm going to pass it over to Amy.
Thanks, Courtney. I've gone ahead and thrown some links in the chat, including emails for myself and Courtney. And I've also thrown in the link for the website and for the interest form. So Courtney and I sort of work in tandem on this because even though she works for emergency management and I work for public health, our paths cross quite a bit. So we do a lot of collaboration between public health and emergency management. My role is basically responsibility for public health's emergency preparedness and response plans. And so I just wanted to showcase this opportunity to for us to be more transparent and inform the public through community organizations, through trusted messengers about what we are doing on the planning side. So I'm responsible for the development and revision maintenance of plans for how public health responds in an emergency or disaster. And that includes, you know, the process we use to update or develop plans. I'm responsible for timelines and bringing together the correct subject matter experts. And so the Disaster Services Network meetings allow me to keep the community updated on what that planning looks like, and even maybe provide opportunities to integrate some of your input. What's really great about bringing the community in is that, you know, when we're working with pretty technical stuff, we have an opportunity to remedy our blind spots, which is, you know, what is it going to look like on the ground when we integrate these plans, when we actually when we activate these plans, you know, how is the community going to experience that? And we really want to be open to getting that perspective so that, you know, we can get ahead of any unintended consequences. Sorry, I'm kind of babbling. I didn't have this all written down before I started talking, so I hope that makes sense. So if you do come to the Disaster Services Network, if you do decide to participate, that makes me really happy because I have this opportunity to let you guys know what my work looks like and what we're doing. Let's see here. Next slide, please. And just to give you a glimpse of what our plans look like, we've got them here. Like, they're not actually on a shelf, they're all digital, but just to give you an idea, we have several plans that comprise just the public health piece of our emergency plans. So we have a base plan, we have general preparedness, we have continuity of operations, which is basically how we continue essential functions even when we're dealing with maybe a catastrophe. We have a plan specific for environmental health, for medical countermeasures, such as when we have to give vaccines or medical treatment in mass. We have a terrorism response, which is basically saying that we will work with law enforcement, technical and subject matter experts and specialists. We have a shelter support role. So when people are being cared for in a shelter situation, in an emergency, public health has a role. So we have a plan that outlines that. And then Medical Reserve Corps, if you know what that is, awesome. But if you don't, definitely look that up. I wish I had time to elaborate on it now, but we do have like volunteers that have medical experience and licensure that we can turn to for help. So this is just the public health portion of the larger county-wide emergency operations plan. So this, because we have those plans, it's a really great way, or it's a really good thing to integrate community into input. So I think that I will stop talking and allow for questions.
Thank you so much, Amy and Courtney. Glad you could make it, Courtney. This is so awesome, and I'm really excited to see how this network grows and how we can work closely together. So yeah, any questions for Courtney or Amy? If any come up, feel free to leave them in the chat. Looks like looking for some contact information. But yeah, thank you so much for that presentation.
I have a question.
Oh, perfect. Go ahead, Bruce.
Amy, this is wonderful. I'm a dedicated Washington County volunteer. I chair the Washington County Community Committee for Community Involvement, and we every month or every October feature the preparedness work. And Lincoln Thomas is running the Cedar Hills Ready. Are you working with them at all? Are you familiar with Lincoln?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
We do have sort of a way that community can reach out if they're looking for county to have a presence at an event or participation.
Well,
So emergency management could be involved, but I'm not sure.
Okay, well, it's specifically emergency preparedness, and there's also the Beaverton CERT program. Are you connected with that? If you're not connected with that, I'd be happy to plug you in together.
We're pretty well integrated with Beaverton CERT. I'm not sure about that particular event, but like Amy mentioned, we can share the link to that event requests to make sure that we have it on our calendar.
I'll get you guys plugged in together.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Bruce. And yeah, thank you again, Courtney and Amy. This is really great. And any more questions, please feel free to leave them in the chat, and we'll keep it going. Next up, we have Julia with Multnomah County Veteran Services. Julia, are you ready?
Yes, sorry, I had my mic down. I have 3 screens open, so I'm really hoping this shows like I'm wanting it to show for everybody. See, there's like multiple screens. I'm a little concerned here. Let's try this one, and then maybe you all could let me know if it's showing presenter mode. Is it showing presenter mode for everybody?
Yeah, it looks great.
Okay, perfect. It's because I have 3 screens right now, and usually when I do that to show myself for everybody, it shows the other way and it's a big mess. But good morning, everyone. I will try to keep it short and sweet. My name's Julia Valencia. I work with Multnomah County Veteran Services. We provide that free service for our local veterans and family members. In today's presentation slides, I'll go over about how that could look like, how you can get a hold of us, and much more. Let's see. Alrighty. And everyone could see the next slide, right? Perfect. So a little bit about who we are here within Multnomah County. We're part of the Aging, Disability, and Veteran Services Division. We do have like about a team of 8. There's 2 office assistants. There's 4 county veteran service officers, case manager in Veterans Directive Care, and our program supervisor. One thing to keep in mind is we are not the VA, so we're not federal or state employees. So we're not the VA, we're not the VA. A lot of people tend to think we're the VA, and it can go, both ways depending on experiences that veteran or family member might have had with the VA in the past. But we are accredited by the Oregon Department of Veteran Affairs to pretty much make sure we understand what benefits might be available for them. And we are within that training, responsible in understanding the regulations and law that come to place with eligibility requirements and much more depending on what benefit they might be entitled to. And, there's a lot of other fancy words on here, but the main thing I want to point out on this slide is that, we're advocates, we're supporters. We guide these veterans and eligible family members in understanding what they might be entitled to. And one thing I wanted to point out too, actually, we'll say on the next slide. So one thing I want to point out before I discuss, a little bit about our services is when you're working with someone and you ask them, did you serve in the military? Most of the time, when they respond saying that they did, I highly encourage you to ask them, are you receiving your VA benefits? And a follow-up question from that is if they say yes, um, ask what type of benefit, because a lot of the times they associate their medical benefits at the VA Medical Center with the benefits that we're actually trying to help them obtain, which is pretty much either compensation or pension from the VA. So, like money from the VA that they might be entitled to from an injury or just their service time. So, when you are asking, did you serve in the military? And they respond yes. And then you ask the follow up of, are you receiving your VA benefits? Just confirm on what type of benefits they might be thinking that you're asking them. Because a lot of the time when I ask them, they'll be like, oh, yeah, I'm receiving my benefits. I will be like, okay, well, what kind? And they'll be like, oh, I go to the VA Medical Center. And I'm like, okay, well, that's not the benefits, I was trying to ask for, but let me get you connected on how, and that would be us. And so what we do once we get them scheduled, in that phone appointment, we do a comprehensive evaluation and kind of assess what benefits they might be entitled to. And most of the time, they just never done it, didn't know or didn't want to apply. Maybe some didn't have a good experience in the military and they just want nothing to do with it. But now life has changed and they're needing some support. We guide them in that appointment. We support them and kind of see what they might be entitled to that a lot of the time they're not aware about. And when we kind of establish what benefit that might be entitled to, which could be like an injury or a condition they now have because of a toxic exposure, or if it has nothing to do with a condition, maybe it's because they're very low income. So we're assessing them for like the pension benefit. Once we establish which one, would best support their needs, we help them submit those applications, the appropriate forms. We use the verbiage that the VA is looking for to help them get those benefits. And there's time too where they may even tell you, oh, I applied but got denied a long time ago. Well, we help with that. We help with previously denied claims and what we could guide them with or what it is we need from them so that we could appeal that decision that was previously denied and how that can look like. We also do have moments where the VA will overpay or Maybe the veteran forgot to report that they no longer are married, and now there's a change in the money they're receiving, so they incur debt. So we kind of help them and guide them through that process as well. And then we do help our justice involved veterans. So even if they are in prison, they may be entitled to some benefits, and how we can help them continue those benefits or who could receive them on their behalf. And then when veteran has passed, we do help with like survivor benefits, so helping that surviving spouse with benefits they might be entitled to, and burial benefits as well. And, since we're not part of medical care, receiving health care, the least we can do is help them at least enroll in that health care. And then in situations like this, having the opportunity to present and inform everyone here. It looks like it's a big group of us, so I like it. Inform everybody of the free services, that we offer. So who do we serve? So we help our veterans here in Multnomah County. Now, if they are outside of Multnomah County, would definitely recommend that they get directed to their local county veteran service office to receive that free service. And if you're not sure or for some reason have issues locating that contact info, you can always email us and we'd be happy to give you that appropriate contact information. We also help our service members who are about to be released and discharged from active duty. We help our former and current National Guard and reservists. And then, as I mentioned earlier, our surviving dependents, so like a surviving spouse or a child deemed dependent on the veteran, like under the age 18 or enrolled in school between 18 to 23. And criteria varies sometimes too, but best thing to do is get connected with us, so that we can properly assess and see if we are the best fit to help them. So how you can get a hold of us, we're almost there, everyone. You can give us a call or you can email us. You can also submit our online referral form, which I would highly encourage, and then we can get them, scheduled for that first appointment, that hopefully that week. We do have a quick turnaround, I will say, and I am proud of that with our team. So definitely recommend that, you guide our local veterans and eligible family members to us so that they can utilize us. And we don't take a dime or anything that they're entitled to, no matter the thousands they could win that we've helped before, which has ranged for a good amount. We don't take any of that. That's all their entitlement that they deserve. But yeah, thank you everyone for the quick moment to share about the free services. If you do have questions, feel free to put them in the chat and then I'll just respond to them there. I just want to be mindful of the other presenters today. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Julia. This is great. And yeah, it looks like you have a couple questions in the chat. And yeah, and feel free to ask any more questions as we continue. Yeah, we can go ahead and move on. Next up, we have Ramin with Torus. Are you ready, Torus?
Yes,
Awesome.
I'm here, and here are my
Perfect.
slides.
All right, go ahead and take.
Okay. Okay, so we are Taurus. We are a culturally responsive refugee and immigrant-led nonprofit that primarily have three programs. We serve about 600 beneficiaries. Um, I think my screen is not sharing.
We can see like the PowerPoint,
Okay, you see it. Okay, perfect,
but
perfect.
I think it might have froze.
Okay,
Um, yeah, if you want to just try and stop sharing and then resharing again, maybe
yeah,
it'll fix that. Looks good.
awesome. Yeah, so we serve 600 beneficiaries annually and run these programs with over 150 volunteers. Um, okay, 1 second. Yeah, so having technical problems trying to go to the next slide. One second. Oh, there it is. Yeah, so these classes primarily are offered at different Multnomah County libraries. They're multi-level, no registration required. Our classes are structured through, different dynamic group activities, practicing natural language from the real world. And we don't really have a textbook. The real world provides us with the language focus. For example, for the next 5 weeks, we're practicing happy holidays, different holidays that are coming up for learners to know about, Thanksgiving, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Christmas. Oftentimes around Christmas times, we sing Christmas carols with everyone, regardless of, religious belief. We think that these are topics that learners are going to encounter in the real world, and so they're important to be exposed to that kind of information. And what we really try to do in these spaces is basically try to create spaces of belonging and transformative connection and building a community through language and culture. We've done some classes about emergency preparedness, know your rights, and provided some incentives before. So we believe that disaster, besides just writing things down, like steps on what to do and providing like first aid kits, we believe that disaster preparedness requires more than theoretical knowledge. Individuals must repeatedly practice the steps so that responses become internalized, instinctive, and ready to activate under stress. So what we did is we all got up and did the emergency drill, drop, cover, hold on, and a bunch of other drills as well to make sure that learners really instinctively internalize that different movements in case, an earthquake happens. We also practiced know your rights. We did that also in kind of a dialogue style where we pretended that, there's an ICE agent behind our door, and we basically said the words, the know your rights words, to make sure that the learners are also able to internalize and ready to activate those words under stress. We also provide incentives to learners as they come to our classes, lots of laptops provided by our board members, and those laptops then are being used for our second program, which are one-on-one classes online. So these are one teacher, one student. We determine learner schedule, level, and goals, and we set a SMART goal for each learner, and then they meet with a volunteer tutor for 1 hour per week. And learners can sign up on our website, and they can show up anytime, both are available. We also provide virtual group classes. They usually happen on Saturdays at 10 a.m. Oregon time, usually between 10 to 15 students show up, and they also can come at any time. We also have an app. So we're moving away slowly from the mainstream platforms like WhatsApp and all the other ones because of the political climate right now. And so we have developed our own app that provides community events, quizzes about U.S. citizenship exam, for example. It has a messaging feature where learners can communicate with their teachers safely. And it also has an AI feature. And this app is available in Google Play Store and App Store as well. And the icon looks like this, like Torus. Yeah, to get in touch with us, people can go to our website, torustransforms.org, or send us an email to info@torustransforms.org or to myself.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Do we have any questions? We have about 2 or 3 minutes for questions if anyone has any. It looks like people are asking about brochures, Ramin. What's the best way to get a hold of those?
Yeah, so I can send those if people can provide their emails, and I can just send those brochures. So our term is ending December 12th, but we're going to restart after the MLK Day. So I would love to provide those ones as well.
So, and it looks like there's another question. Is the app only for current students?
So the messaging platform is only for current students who are signed up, but all of the other features are for the community's benefit. And there's a lot, including quizzes for the U.S. citizenship exam.
Oh, that's awesome. And then looks like there was one more. How much capacity do you have for new learners?
Yeah, so that's always for our in-person classes, we can serve as many as possible. Honestly, our classes are pretty popular. We have 20 to 30 learners at Midland Library, Hallgate Library. For our online one-on-one classes, which is pretty popular, format, there's a bit of a backlog right now, but we can accept probably in the next month 10 learners, perhaps 10 to 20 learners.
So, it looks like there's two more questions if you have the time. Are the laptops for checking out or do they get to keep them?
Oh, those are incentives for learners for showing up to classes, so they get to keep them.
Awesome. And then how can we access the citizenship questions?
Oh, it's in the app. So once you download the app, you'll be able to see it. We do have to update it because it seems like there has been some additional questions added to it. So, yeah, we will need to update it, but there's a lot of other questions, 100 of them, in fact.
Awesome. All right. And it looks like people are dropping their email in the chat to get those brochures. But yeah, if any more questions that you have, please feel free to leave them in the chat and Ramin can address those. But we will keep going. Thank you again. Next up, we have Annie, Irene, Vivian, and Sequoia with New Narrative. Are you ready?
Thank you so much, Jade.
Yeah, of course.
I believe so. Vivian, let me know if you need any support on the presentation piece, pulling that up. And then we'll get started in a second. Yay! All right, well, thanks everyone for having us. Quick introductions. I'm Annie Smith. I am the Senior Marketing Manager at New Narrative, she, her pronouns, and I'll let the rest of the team introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Vivian. I'm the peer supervisor at Comfort Zone. I use she, they pronouns.
Hi, and I'm Irene. I am our peer outreach specialist at Comfort Zone, and I use she, they pronouns.
Perfect. And is Sequoia with us too?
No, she's currently out at the moment.
Okay, well, we'll keep going and just dive on in. So we're excited to talk about New Narrative as a whole, but also mostly focusing on one of our peer programs called Comfort Zone and what we do in the community there. And so let's go ahead. Perfect. Just quickly on resilience, it doesn't have a singular definition. I'm sure everyone is fairly well aware of what resilience entails. But we just wanted to lay out some of the basic elements because sometimes it's hard to define. And everything we do at New Narrative as an agency and within our programming is focused on building up our community in the face of life's challenges, both as individuals and as a collective. We know that the mental health crisis affects everyone, not just people experiencing the mental health challenges. So let's just go ahead and get into exactly what it is that we do and how it ties into our topic today. So New Narrative is almost 50 years old. We've been formerly Luchtdorf. We've been working in the community as a mental health provider in the Portland metro area. We have more than 40 sites, and we currently serve adults 18 and over, but we'll soon be expanding our services to foster youth ages 16 to 18 next year. Our aim is to address the most critical and complex mental health and housing needs in the region through a variety of integrated services. So we respond to participant needs. We don't dictate those needs. People are not a checklist, as we're all aware. Everyone deserves to thrive in a community and pursue their goals to live the life they choose. So we just support people in their paths towards independence, however that looks for them. And in doing so, we have 3 pillars of service types. We have clinical care, we have housing, and then we have peer support. So for clinical, we have 2 outpatient clinics in the community, one in Tigard and one in East Portland. For our housing services, we cover a range of housing needs, from initial housing for people coming off the streets or out of the state hospital to supporting folks finding their own apartment for the very first time. In terms of our peer services, we have a team-based care model throughout the agency. That means that our teams collaborate with one another to deliver the best care possible to each person we serve. And we have worked really hard as an agency over the past few years to intentionally integrate peer support, so lived experience, into all of our service offerings here. And in doing that, we make sure that people have that access to peer support, whether they're just in clinical or in housing. A lot of times people will receive multiple services depending on their needs and their goals. So one of our 5 dedicated peer programs is a drop-in center, and that is the Comfort Zone. So with that, I want to go ahead and hand it over to our team to talk more about what we do.
Hey, so Comfort Zone is a low barrier drop-in center focused on supporting the wellness of marginalized and underrepresented folks. So basically it means that our groups, media, activities, and general effect all have a flavor of equity and diversity. Everyone is welcome regardless of how you identify. A low barrier program means that we don't require diagnosis or referrals, and anything we offer, such as food, services, and outings, is included when someone becomes a member. We are totally peer run and trauma informed. We're open Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. All we ask is for people to fill out a quick survey that lets our grant funders know the populations we work with. We only record numbers and we only report a final count. We share no individual information, and doing this shows our members that their information is safe, and also shows our funders how needed programs like Comfort Zone are. All right, so diving into history. Comfort Zone started out as a peer-run program managed exclusively by peers in the early 1990s. They visited different sites around Washington County and provided meals and other activities. Comfort Zone found a permanent home in Hillsborough and was eventually absorbed by Luke-Dorf, now known as New Narrative, in 2016. The COVID shutdown in 2020 gave us the opportunity to search for a new space and evaluate the program to best serve our participants and our vision of the drop-in center. As Hillsborough is becoming more and more invested in community and peer services, we found it would be beneficial to our overall community to reopen in a new location. In January of 2023, Comfort Zone finally opened their doors again. So the drop-in center of Comfort Zone has kind of like 3 core elements to it. There's the community space, which is like super cozy and open to the public, and there's like all sorts of board games and activities and crafts. We've got recurring groups and affinities that are all peer-led, and then there's also this focus of lived experience and a focus on peer recovery. So talking about the community space, so Comfort Zone is a community where people can come in and simply hang out. We've got all sorts of art activities. Something that's really popular people like to do is play a game called Roomy Cube. We also have a bunch of like dragon and dinosaur coloring pages, which is super popular. There's other coloring books. We've got paint canvases. We've got things like sewing and knitting supplies. People have been like really into crocheting together lately. We've got an ever-growing library with both fiction and nonfiction titles and many other activities. We offer access to open Wi-Fi and a desktop computer with a black and white printing capabilities. We also have an open pantry that provides snacks and ready-made foods, as well as an open full fridge that our members are welcome to use. There are many drink options such as juice, soda, coffee, which we make fresh every morning, and tea. We also have little locker spaces that folks are welcome to use and store items for a short period of time. There's also a clothing closet, a small clothing closet, but like a community donation wall that has harm reduction supplies and other odds and ends that people might enjoy as well.
And one of our other pillars would be our monthly and weekly groups that we offer throughout the week and month. The first, like Mondays, we alternate between Alternatives to Suicide, which is co-facilitated with also a member of the peer company who comes over and facilitates that with me. We do community outings, typically do for bowling, occasionally throughout the month. We'll also go visit OMSI, and all of our outings we completely cover for our members. So it's free to the community who joins us. The fourth Monday is our movie matinee. We pick a movie for the month, and at the end of the month, we'll watch a movie as a group here at Comfort Zone. We'll have snacks and popcorn and extra cozy seats for that. Tuesdays are alternating between a Better Days group for building better coping skills. And then we also have Hearing Voices, which is a part of the Hearing Voices network. And that's possible because of trainings through Wildflower Alliance, which is a peer-run group from the East Coast. And then Wednesday is the all-day art day that we have, where we get a nice amount of members who come in who just want to hang out and do art. And then we also have a TED Talk that goes on, typically following around one of the national monthly awarenesses, or if a member has interest in something, we'll find a TED Talk that fits that interest. And then Thursday is our most popular day. We just get pizza for anyone who comes in, and then people just hang out, chill, eat pizza, and play games all together. It's really great seeing some of the members who typically don't interact outside of Comfort Zone very often, making friends within Comfort Zone and then talking and about like hanging out outside of the space. In Fridays, we do a queer affinity for any of our members who are part of the LGBTQ plus community. And then the last Friday, it is our version of Town Hall. We call it Spill the Tea. We let the members know the members in the community, what's going on, what changes we have coming up for the next month. And if they have ideas that we could implement, we like to hear those so we can try to bring those in the next quarter. And our last main core element of Comfort Zone is peer focus as a trauma-informed space. All of us here are certified peer specialists, trained in de-escalation, and we're also strong advocates for our participants so we can help support them to advocate for themselves and see that growth. And then if you want to learn more about Comfort Zone, you can visit us. We're a mile south of Washington Square Mall. You can also scan the QR code up there that takes you to our website, which is at comfortzonenn.org. And then if you want to learn more about our parent organization, New Narrative, at newnarrativepdx.org. And we appreciate you letting us have this space. And if you have any questions, please let us know.
Thank you all so much. We do have a couple minutes for questions, if anybody has any. I do have one question. What is the best way to track or keep up to date with the monthly and weekly schedule? Would that be through your website or
through the website would be a great way to see what we have going on the daily. We have our calendar that on the website that you can easily print off. I believe that there is a way you can sign up for membership on our website, and that gets you to our mailing list where we can mail you the monthly newsletter, which would let you have the calendar at the beginning of the month.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. Any more questions that we have for New Narrative? Go ahead, Bruce.
Yeah, I served on the Behavioral Health Council for quite a few decades, actually, and I'm curious what the relationship between New Narrative and the Behavioral Health Division at the county is now.
That
That
is a
Nick
great question.
Nick Oakham is the director of the department.
Our chief advocacy officer, Beth Cook, is the most connected individual in the agency to the local, county, and state groups. And so I don't specifically know what our connection is right now, but I can definitely get back to you with that information.
Awesome, thank you. And then we do have one more question. Is anyone welcome to come to Comfort Zone? Is it for certain ages?
Yes, Comfort Zone is family friendly and completely open to the public. We do suggest anyone under 12 have a guardian with them. But we've had members come from, like, we met at Beaverton Pride, who are about 13 years old, who wanted to come in during the summer and volunteer and just hang out and have a space to be at.
Awesome, thank you. All right, and we will leave the chat open for any more questions. But thank you so much for all this information. The Comfort Zone program is so amazing, and yeah, just excited that you were here to share. So lastly, to wrap up our monthly learning session today, we have Shay with YWCA just to share a couple details and a couple updates.
Hello, everyone. My name is Shay. I use he, him pronouns. I am also here with my coworker, Delaney. We are going to do a very brief spiel for y'all. We got 4 slides. One's an intro, one's an outro. So just some brief information, but I'm going to get my screen shared. Give me just a moment. Okay. And I believe everybody should be able to see that. And I have the chat open as well. But like I said earlier, my name is Shay. I use he, him pronouns, and I work for YWCA. I'm here specifically to talk about our social justice program, and more specifically, what we do. Essentially, we host a wide variety of trainings all throughout the year, lots of different types, but I'm going to focus specifically on our anti-racism education-based training. We have a cohort model, and we are all ready for next year. We've been doing our cohort model. It's been rather successful, and we can't wait to continue doing it next year. So essentially, what is our anti-racism cohort? We have 9 different classes. It's about 25 and a half hours of virtual online learning. Our goal is to engage participants in deep reflection, think about a wide variety of topics and principles, understanding how anti-racism is a lifelong practice, and building community with one another. The full schedule is listed here on the right. Of course, if you're interested in signing up to attend the cohort, we are very excited for that, of course. But more specifically, we've also developed sponsorship opportunities. So essentially what that means is we know organizations may not be able to commit to most of their February to attending a wide variety of topics, and we understand that. And we know that many organizations are very dedicated to doing anti-racism work. So if you're interested in helping us continue to do this work and educate our community, we've put together some opportunities where organizations can help us continue to do that work without having to attend the cohort. So Delaney here has helped develop some of these sponsorship opportunities. So I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to her.
Hi, everybody. I'm Delaney. I'm the development director at YWCA of Greater Portland. And we're so excited to kind of launch this new facet of our social justice workshop program. We call this a sponsorship, but you could also kind of think of it as like a membership or a subscription, because the biggest benefit to you is going to be the free tickets. So we have 3 different tiers here, and all of them come with tickets to our workshops, ranging from $25 all the way up to unlimited entry, space allowing, of course. But this is also a really great way to kind of recommit your organization to anti-racism work, to social justice work, and also kind of speak that publicly, because this does also come with some marketing aspects. So you get logo recognition on our web pages and at all of our workshops within the cohort, which we fill about 2,500 seats per year. A lot of those folks return to us as well. And then we also have some social media and newsletter opportunities as well to kind of share out your partnership with us and show that you are kind of aligned with us in our mission to eliminate racism, empower women, and promote peace, justice, freedom, and dignity for all. I also want to point out at the 2 upper tiers, we offer some equity advice sessions with Shay. So what this looks like is Shay can help you kind of assist with implementing like anything from internal policies to going over feedback from staff and how to kind of address things internally, kind of helping you find the right educators for the topics that you want to engage with as an organization, all of that kind of stuff. So really valuable time. Shay is so excellent at this. So we're really happy to offer that as well at the equity and justice level. And with that, I'll go ahead and leave you with our contact information on the next slide. We're always happy to answer questions, get you signed up for classes. This is kind of something new that we're trying as well. So happy to just kind of chat virtually or over coffee to kind of hear what you think of this or what might make this something that your organization is interested in. So thank you so much.
Great. Thank you so much, Delaney. Thank you, Shay. We have a couple minutes for questions. If anyone has any questions, feel free to leave them in the chat, or you can turn your mic on and ask away. All right. If not, we have about 10 minutes left in this session. So I will hang around for any lingering questions or anything that guests want to share out or connect on. But thank you everyone for coming today. I really appreciate you taking time to come and learn from some amazing organizations and all the amazing resources they have to offer.
And just
Yeah, but
before, sorry to interrupt you, Jade, just before everybody leaves, I just wanted to share that we have a new sign up link for folks to register for our next year of monthly learning sessions. So I'm just posting that in the chat right now. And once you complete that form, you will get a calendar invite for every month for a year. So don't freak out and just embrace the chaos of it all and accept all those invites so that you can be in the know for all the future monthly learning sessions. We will be announcing the themes for those sessions and then rolling out a process for folks to sign up to present during those sessions. And we'll be launching that this Friday in our newsletter. So stay tuned. And then it will also be on our website after that under monthly learning sessions. So yeah, like I said, please sign up to register at this point. And then if you are interested in presenting, then that will be something that will be rolled out later this week. And if you have any questions, then you can let me know now or later. And I'll pass it back to you, Jade. I'm sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to get people before they leave.
that was perfect. Thank you so much, Maren. Yeah, so that link's in the chat if you need it, or you can email me if you have any questions. We'd also appreciate if you could fill out our survey for this monthly learning session, just to let us know how it felt for you. We really appreciate your feedback and want to know how we can make these sessions better and more interactive for our guests. So yeah, but I will hang around for any lingering questions.